Welcome back to Talk Time Life Unscripted. Today, we're going to jump further into our discussion about how we dealt with the first few days after we finally had our last day at our employer, but then also have a kind of a discussion about the job search and the job market, considering that, it had been many years since I had been in the job market. And Lakeisha, you had several years before you had to as well. But before we get into that discussion, please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more Talk Time Life Unscripted. Now, let's just jump into this conversation. So, Lakeisha, we both just mentioned in a previous video that kind of feeling of relief when we didn't have to go to the job again, just because of the fires that we constantly put out, the non-stress of having to go to work. But on top of that came the stress of having to actually look for a job. So what was it like for you when you started like looking for a job and sending out applications? What was some of the first things that you did?
First step, it's, oh my gosh, I have to update my resume. Like, what?
I love that part.
Oh, I think for me, I just really kind of leaned in on a community, my support system.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to send you what I have. Can you give me some suggestions on how I can get ready for this new job market? Like, what does this look like?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So, like, just having that discussion with, friends, family, associates, other people within my community, um, getting their input,
Yeah.
again, not being afraid to share information, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes we find ourselves in a culture where you don't want to become vulnerable. You don't want to open the
Hmm.
door to kind of, your private life. So
Yeah.
for me, that's kind of my first thing. It was kind of like, okay, I have to figure out what to do with this old resume and how that's going to translate into today's workforce. So what about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. I mean, mine was a very old resume because I had been employed with the same employer, our previous job for 18 years. And so literally there was dust piled up on my resume. And I quickly realized that this was a completely different situation applying for a job
Mm,
now. The last time I applied for a job, everything was not so digital and everything was digital now. And so I had a LinkedIn profile, but I hadn't kept it up to date. And so I had to learn all of that all over again. And one of the good things that came out of us being laid off and our previous employer was is that they did offer us a consultant company to kind of help us through those next steps. And I kid you not, having that consultant company was one of the things that kept me going and completely re-energized me and I learned so much. Like I'd been out of the workforce for 18 years. So I had to learn how to network again. I had to learn my resume was way out of date. And you can Google and you see all these different formats. And one
yeah.
person says this is the format, and one person says this is the format. And as I was submitting applications, I kept asking when I wasn't getting any feedback, I kept asking myself, well, is it my resume? Are people just not interested in it? Does it not have the right material? And with chat, I went down the chat GBT route to help me with my resume. But ultimately, this consulting firm showed me the right way to do my resume. And they had all of these individual classes as well, talking about the new job market, how to actually look for a job, and how to use LinkedIn to market and connecting with people, especially connecting with old colleagues, and using those people as a way of sourcing more information about the job market. Because one thing that we know for sure is that the majority of people will admit that finding a job it's all about who you know.
Yes.
So yeah.
So, what kind of gems do you think that we can share with our audience in terms of, maybe we have a few people that are here that don't have a LinkedIn profile, or, you had mentioned that your LinkedIn profile, you had one, but you really hadn't used it. So, what do you think are some really good gems to share with our audience in terms of either creating your LinkedIn or updating your LinkedIn?
Yeah, so there was so much that I learned. There's so much out there on the internet about how to get started with creating your LinkedIn or updating your LinkedIn. But one of the things that I learned is that I needed to have a professional photo. So I actually had a
Mm,
professional photo made because that was something that grabbed attention. One of the other things that I didn't realize is that you really have to have a very good about you section telling your what they called your branding. What is your branding statement? Who are you and what can you bring to an organization? So I had to really think about that branding statement
yeah,
and lean into my experience, what I had done over the last 18 years, and make sure that I highlighted the key points in that, on my LinkedIn profile, because the majority of employers, when they're looking on LinkedIn and searching for people that they want to hire, they're going to look at your profile picture to see if you're a professional, and they're going to firstly read your branding statement to see who are you. And if you don't have a strong branding statement, most employers will just look you over. The other thing I think was important for me was to make sure that my resume had to align with what was on my LinkedIn profile. So once I had my resume completed, I went back through LinkedIn and made sure that exactly what was on my work experience matched and aligned with what was on the LinkedIn profile. Because any discrepancy, an employer is going to say, well, wait, I thought you did this year. And so you just have to make sure that all those things are aligned. And I think the biggest tip that I could give about using LinkedIn is what I already said, which is networking. Put it out there that you're open for work and lean into old people that you used to work with. Reach out to that person that you had a good working relationship and say, hey, I'm back on the market. I see you're still working with company XYZ. Put in a good word for me. Do you know anybody that's hiring? And start networking through those relationships. And then one other key point was I found that when I applied for a job on LinkedIn, first, I would go to the company's website and apply for the job through the company's website. But then I would also look on their LinkedIn profile and see who was their HR person, who was the recruiter, and I would reach out to them directly. Even if I didn't know them, I used ChatGPT to write me up an introduction statement, and then I would reach out to them via chat on LinkedIn and say, hey, my name is Kenneth. I see you guys are hiring, and I wanted to introduce myself. And these are the qualifications that I have that I can bring to your business. So, and I think I learned part of that from you, because I remember once we were having a chat and you had said you were applying for a job and you reached directly out to the recruiter, and the recruiter called you, like sent you back a message like in within a few hours.
right
So
away.
yeah, what was that like for you?
Um, again, I feel that I'm a very resourceful person. So, I use social media, TikTok, Facebook, not so much Twitter anymore, but TikTok and Facebook. I look for content that relates to my current situation.
Yeah,
And again, I just happened to come across, and I'm sorry I don't remember the content creator, but I came across something on TikTok that made 100% sense to me, right? When you're reaching out to, or when you're applying to these jobs on LinkedIn, the
yeah,
recruiters, they're receiving thousands of job applications per day. So, yes, your branding statement, your initial LinkedIn profile picture, professional picture, absolutely, that makes a difference. But I also think that sometimes you just have to go that extra step and say, hey,
absolutely.
let me introduce myself.
Yeah,
And I am, Jane Doe, and I am looking for this opportunity within your organization as X, Y, and Z. I
yeah,
feel that I could be a great asset because of one, two, three, four, five.
yeah. Agreed.
For me, I just think that that's another opportunity to kind of stand out ahead of the crowd, and it just gives the recruiter something to think about. It's a memory maker
Yeah, I
for the
agree. I
recruiter.
agree. So I know
Yeah.
both of us have had some interviews as of recent. I have sent out so many applications and applied for so many different jobs, and we all know that the job market is tough right now because so many people are currently out of work. I found that it was very difficult sometimes with the in this interviewing process because it's changed. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight was kind of, when you interview, I ran into a situation that was quite weird, and I still don't understand it, where a recruiter reached out to me, wanted to set up an interview, set up a date and time, and the interviewer didn't even show up
Yeah.
for the interview. And so that was very frustrating for me. It's like, well, wait, I thought you were looking for somebody. You took the time to contact me, but then you don't even have the decency to show up for the interview. Obviously, that's not somebody that I want to work with, but I think you also kind of had a similar situation as well, didn't you?
Yeah. Hmm. Had an opportunity, again, recruiter had reached out to me, had done my due diligence, kind of went back and looked at the job posting, did my
Yeah.
research on the company,
Yeah.
okay, how do my skills align with, what this position looks like? Got all prepared, got on the Zoom, and nothing.
Yeah.
It's a little
Frustrating.
discouraging,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can interpret that a few different ways. Okay, is it that you got busy or you
Mhm.
got caught up into a situation and you weren't able to join? But then the other side of that is that as a potential employee,
Mhm.
are these the types of situations that I'm looking forward to? You not taking the
Right.
time and
Right.
considering my schedule
Right.
to kind of say, "Hey, can we reschedule? I'm so sorry. Things happen. I get that, but yeah, that this new interview process is just it's something different for
Yeah,
sure."
so for me, I had that happen twice with the same company. They requested the interview. The first time I got on, they didn't show up. They apologized. Someone else was in a meeting, so they wanted to reschedule. They contacted me the second time, rescheduled the meeting, and for the second time, the person who was supposed to be interviewing me didn't show up. And so at that point, I had to say to myself, if you can't organize a Zoom interview, do I really want to work for a company that is that unorganized? So obviously they didn't call me back to reschedule or anything, and I was fine with that because at that point I was kind of done. But it just goes to show that right now this job market is. I mean, having we I've been out in front of it for a long time, so this job market is so different. There's so much competition. There's people who have more skills than I do, or
Yeah,
there's situations that I've seen where I'm overskilled and companies don't want to pay what I need to make a living. And so you've got a younger generation that can come in, start out, with a lower salary, and companies are hiring these younger people because they can get by with paying them a lot less. Where, for myself and probably for you as well, we were making a very good salary. And so to kind of match that, to find a job that matches that has been quite difficult, especially with all the competition that is out there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I would say do not be discouraged. Guys, this is an opportunity. If you're going through the same situation, this is an opportunity for you to challenge yourself, to kind of go
Hmm.
outside of the box, be creative, use your skills to market yourself in whatever, industry that you may be in. LinkedIn may not be the best resource for you, but again, just be mindful, don't be discouraged, continue to
Hmm.
push. Something's gonna come up, and you
Yeah,
just have to
I
go
think
ahead.
it's key to remember that this is a process and nothing is going to happen overnight. And we have to be patient and allow the universe to do its thing. And
Yes.
so the key thing here is just to not get discouraged. You're going to get a lot of no's before you get a yes, but you just have to keep going at it, stay strong, and know that you as a person have value and will add value to another company. And when the right one comes along, it will happen just as it's supposed to happen.
Absolutely. So here's another opportunity. Pop down in the comments, guys. Like share your experiences. Have you gone through a similar situation where an interview has been scheduled? Circumstances happen, the interview didn't pan out, but yeah, we're interested to hear what you have to say. We'll
Absolutely.
comment right back to you guys, and let's just keep this conversation going. Okay.
Absolutely. So, thanks again, everybody, for hanging with us again on Talk Time Life Unscripted. As we've always said, we're here. We're going to get through this together. So, thank you for tuning in. Stay on the lookout for upcoming content because we're going to continue creating content, and we look forward to hearing back from you guys very soon. All right. Ciao.
Thank you.